Hi, and welcome back to my studio. In this series that I'm doing to answer the question of what are the most important tools for ring making, this is the second part, and I wanted to talk to you about hammers. Hammers are very important when you make rings, and I get really attached to my hammers. I don't know what I would do if some of these hammers broke or disappeared. I've gotten that attached to them. They just probably are the most emotionally connected tools that I have. I know some jewelers say that the torch is what they feel connected to, but for me, I don't know if it's the beating out or like taking out your tensions on something that is so satisfying, or just the way that the hammer seems to impart my personality or my heart into the rings. I just really love my hammers. So I'm going to show you the hammers that I mostly use and what I use them for. So this is a nylon hammer, and this is what I use for shaping the ring right after I solder it, and then I slip it onto the mandrel and put it on my stainless steel mandrel and just tap around until it's the right size. It depends on what kind of mood I'm in. If I'm like really mad or something, I'll hit it really hard. But you'll figure all this out as you go along. So and then if the ring is not to have a texture and it's just going to be smooth, then that's where it ends right there, is I just only use the nylon mandrel. But if I'm going to put a texture on, and the most common texture is just a hand-hammered regular texture, then this is the hammer I like to use. And it's got a round part on one end. It's called a ball peen. And then this face, and this is called a plenishing hammer. And the face is a little bit rounded. It's not exactly flat. And the handle is shaped in such a way that it's ergonomically correct, and you can just use it without using a lot of your strength to tap your texture into the metal. It's something that you will grow to become accustomed to the more that you use your hammers. Now, for a kind of a different texture, I have several of these texturing hammers, and this is what makes them unusual. As you'll see right here, that there are grooves cut into the face of this side of the hammer. So when you strike the metal with this part of the hammer, it makes lines like stripes. And then on the other side, this is like a crosshatch. So it makes an interesting, depending on how you hit the metal, you can play around different ways with it, and it makes it kind of an interesting pattern on the metal. And then I have other ones with circles, and you can get them with little starburst shapes and everything, and I'll give you a link to show you where you get those from. This hammer I stole from my husband, and this is one of the first hammers I ever used. Originally I used this hammer. This is, I think, a roofer's hammer. Technical terms. But it's got this really cool worn away type of pattern in it that makes it really neat for some of the more really rustic and archaic rings that I do, especially my copper Braveheart rings that look like something from the medieval era. But mostly what I use this hammer for is for stamping letters into the metal. So this is my heavier hammer that gives me the leverage that I need to make an impression, or when I'm stamping my maker's mark into the ring. So that's what this hammer is for. And then something that's really important with all this hammering, and I'm not real freaky or super careful about things, but I always make sure that I put on my ear protection. And I stole this from my husband too, but you can get these at like Home Depot or hardware stores or places like that. And it's just these nice earmuff type things that when I put them on, I can still hear, but it blocks out the harshness of the hammering noise, which really can hurt your ears. Now, you don't have to use these exactly. You can use earplugs, but these are just more convenient for me. And they were really convenient because my husband had them, and I just stole them. So that is my second part about the most important tools that you will need for making rings. That was about my hammers that I use, and I'm very attached to my hammers now. And make sure that you use ear protection. Ask me your questions. If I wasn't clear about something, or you want to know something else about something else, just ask me a question in the comments, and I'm more than happy to answer your questions. I will love to answer your questions, make more videos, or just chat in the comments, whatever you guys want. Ask me questions. Thanks.